Hello and welcome everyone, and welcome to the Dive Fil Community podcast. This is the lunch, and today I'm speaking to you from Google I/O Connect Amsterdam. And I've got a special guest with me, Tim. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be at this event, of course, and thank you so much for having me as a speaker today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure is all ours. And could you introduce yourself?
Of course, I'd love to. So my role at Google is leading Google's developer relations and startup relations programs. So that means I'll work with developer communities, with tech founders, with people who are sharing their passion and their knowledge with the extended developer community, and making sure that they have all the resources and context that they need to be successful. So really, helping to amplify the great stuff that they're doing, making sure that we as a team also connect them to our product teams to hear, what they struggle with, what kind of feedback they have. So ultimately supporting the developer community at large.
Wow.
Today, you might have heard at our keynote that EMEA as a region, Europe, Middle East and Africa, we have about 11.5 million developers.
Half the developers in the world.
It's a lot of developers, exactly. And, we're trying to make sure that they have a great experience working with Google.
Yes, okay. So I'll be trying to speak a little bit in our local language.
Sure.
So Tim كان يحكي الساعة في الكينوت في الجوجل I/O Connect in Amsterdam. دونك حكى على برشا حاجات interesting. It was very very interesting فما برشا developers في MENA region. And Kim is actually from Google and he's speaking with us today. So how we're gonna do this? This is the lunch of the podcast. I'm Imen Masmoudi. I'm gonna be podcasting here, hopefully monthly, and every time I'll be bringing guests. The original idea for this podcast was to name it ML Fil Community, because I'm into ML, if you know me. I'm the TensorFlow girl. But I thought there's so much more in the community other than ML, and we'll make it dive في community. So every time مش نحكيو على حاجة. Today مش نحكيو على Google I/O Connect في Amsterdam. And we have our guest. We'll be asking him questions. So what made you do Google I/O Connect? So this is the first year for Google I/O Connect.
It is, yeah. So Google I/O for us was always a special moment, given that for us it's so important to, of course, speak to developers and share our latest and greatest in technology, right? Like every year there are these big releases for Android, all these other cool products that we're announcing and features that hopefully help make our developer experience easier and more compelling. And, we used to fly people all across, the globe to Mountain View or to San Francisco to, have a great time with us. But then COVID hit. And suddenly, all of that changed. And the way that we could run these events changed tremendously. And of course, that was very rough for people across the globe, right? And it actually gave us time to think about how a Google I/O experience would look like this year. We had I/O in May this year, where, we had the main event in Mountain View, and it was wonderful. I hope you got to see the keynote. It was very fun. And we made sure to also think about the fact that not everybody is able to fly to this one event, right? That we're not able to accommodate everybody, and not everybody actually wants to fly, to this one specific event. But today in the keynote, we spoke about the fact that, EMEA as a region, for instance, is home to so many developers. So we thought to ourselves, why not actually come to where the developers are, localize the experience of Google I/O, and actually make sure that, we are accommodating the fact that there is great stuff going on across all of these different regions. So my colleague Paul Kinlan from the web team today spoke, for instance, about, how we have all of these interesting teams and, all spread all across Europe. One example that he actually brought up was that we are doing a lot of research in the machine learning space in Ghana, right? And that Accra is actually a very important location for us, given that we can really work on machine learning fairness and bias and all these other topics that are top of mind for developers right now. But also some of the other innovations, like, for instance, cloud in Europe. How do we respect user privacy, security, all of these other things that are very top of mind for developers? And for us to be on the ground and actually, engaging with developers helps make sure that we are tailoring our developer experience, our products, so that developers can use our products in hopefully the best way possible.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You're making great impact.
Thank you.
حسيلو. So اللي حكيته ويك Tim is so many amazing things. You are changing lives. That's all I can say. Ever since I came to Amsterdam, a lot happened. In the good way, of course. I mean, I appreciate all the experience. They say it's the Amsterdam experience if you get something like this. I got it from the bike, and the bike is the Amsterdam experience. So why did you choose Amsterdam?
So Amsterdam, for me personally, is a special place because I was actually raised in the Netherlands for a bit. So between 11 and 18 years old, I actually lived here. And, I think one thing that I always loved about the Netherlands is how international it is, right? Like it's actually, if you think about the map, it's not the biggest country, but when you think about the number of nations that is, very much on this space, it's people from all across the globe. It's very international. It's incredibly welcoming and diverse. And it's a gateway to Europe, right? It's, if you think about the airport, it's one of the biggest airports literally on the planet. And it makes it easy for folks from across the globe to come and join us today. But also, I think, we kind of tried to embrace the fact that, developers are everywhere. So Amsterdam for us does stand for, not just Europe and making that easy, but also making sure that our friends from Africa are able to join us, that friends from Middle East are able to join us. We have people from Pakistan at this event today, from Togo, South Africa, and so on, right? So making sure everybody can join us today, has a great time, and obviously comes to a city that is easy to commute and very accessible was top of mind for us.
That's
and
really
I think Amsterdam personally, very selfishly, is just a very beautiful city too, so that helps.
It is really beautiful, and the people here are so beautiful, and they're diversified a lot. So there are so many people I know. I even have a friend who lives here, and they're very diversified people. They accept everyone. And something else I noticed when I came here, everybody is very helpful person. So we're all community people here, and we're like community driven people, and we care about people. So if I need anything, anyone can help me. That's amazing. There are so many amazing good quality people in here. So wow, the community is really big.
Yeah, and if I can say something about that, obviously I'm very happy to hear that you're having a great experience, because I think that is, we're planning these events with the audience in mind, right? Like I spoke about how we try to speak about the work that we do in the region and our products and so on, and that is of course important to us. But ultimately, the most important thing for us is making sure that our attendees, the developers, have a wonderful experience. But also, when you speak about community in general, I mentioned that briefly in the keynote today. I come from the community myself. I used to be a member of back then we didn't call it GDG, but GTUC, Google Technology User Groups. That was back in 28, 29. So I've been around for a while. And I owe my career to the community. I grew in the community as a person that engages with technology, the way that I use technology myself, as a speaker, as a person that, ultimately my job is now serving and supporting the community. And, I do totally agree with you. It's a very welcoming space. It's a space that allows people to grow and thrive. And, that is a strong motivation for my team and us all, who run this event, to make sure that, we keep on going, and hopefully, people feel it.
Exactly. If I reflect on the past 2 years of my life, I've been able to impact people thanks to Google programs. It's thanks to GDSC program first, because I was GDSC lead. That's how I started. And I could impact so many people. I could see growth in so many community members in my community, because my GDSC Init, it was a very big one. I had over 800 members. And I was very active. I had 5 in-person events and 84 workshops. So that was 2 years ago. And it was one of the most active clubs in the MENA region. And it was very impactful. I also had a partnership with DataCamp, and some of my members were very crazy about DataCamp, and it did change their lives. Some other members were really into Quick Labs, me included, and TensorFlow. I got opportunities like for trainings with Bamboo Geeks, and I also got Google Africa Developer Scholarship twice. And these things really did impact my life in so many ways. Now I'm Women Tech Makers Ambassador, and this empowered me to impact so many other communities. So after having GDSC, I grew my network, and I had so many members from so many places from Tunisia. And now being a Women Tech Makers Ambassador and someone who's passionate about TensorFlow and AI, I do trainings because they ask me to do workshops for them. So sometimes do academies like 12 hours in a week. And I developed content. And I also get content from Google because we get train the trainer trainings and we get content. So you empower us in so many ways. And you empower us to impact community and our communities and give back to the community.
No, that is, of course, wonderful to hear, and I think we have to thank you. You speak about how hopefully we help you, but also I think I mentioned that I personally owe my life to the community and my career to the community, but also I think when we hear about stories like facilitating 80-something workshops and running all these events in person and creating content and helping to facilitate content and so on. That is a lot of dedication, and I know it's a lot of very hard, blood and sweat and tears at times. It's not always easy to run communities and grow communities because, of course, people have expectations to these events, and you want to make sure that you're supporting them the best way that you can. So all I can do is saying thank you for that as well, because it's a lot of work. I really know that.
It is, and later on in life, I decided to open a community, machine learning community. So I called it ML Act, and it's a machine learning community that's supported by Google, so ML communities. And we've been very impactful. We held a machine learning study jam, and I have a team with me actually. I have a co-founder and co-lead, and we have a marketing lead, and we have communication lead, and we have a logistics lead and programs lead. We believe in teamwork, and if we want to go further, we need to go together. And we started working on that, and we're not in a rush to build something, but little by little, we're gonna do something impactful. We had our first ML study jam recently, like 2 weeks ago, we finished it. And we're ready for some more. We want to host ML paper reading clubs and the ML math clubs. They're Google campaigns that we can run for the community. And I don't see them actually run in the community, but I see a lot of workshops, I see so many other things, but I want to focus on these things because they're provided by Google and I want to spread them. And I'm very looking forward to all of these things. So let's get back to the podcast itself, because this is the launch. So today we're talking about Google I/O Connect. And in the future, we'll be talking about a variety of things. It depends on the guests that we have or on your interests. So if you're interested in something in particular, feel free to send me an email about it. And or if you had any questions, feel free to email them to me. And I'll do my best to try to answer your questions in the next podcast. But feel free to always reach out. And I'm very excited about this Dive Fil Community podcast. Thank you, Tam, for being here today with us. That was very nice of you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate, everything that you're doing. I love to hear that there's obviously a team behind you, and so also a big thank you to everybody else that actually helps make these things happen. And I look forward to seeing all these episodes of your podcast being released.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think that's a podcast. We can call it a podcast then. Okay. Thank you, and see you next month.